That was real good. That was like, that was money, first of all.
Let's do another.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Knight, and you are watching the Real Review 3000, and I'm here again on this music kick this week, so I've decided the rest of this week we're just going to finish it out with music. We're doing another music review today. We'll keep doing them. Today is, well, I'm selfish today. It's my pick. We're going to do it on Steely Dan. Steely Dan is one of my favorite groups of all times. They're a real tight-sounding group, kind of a jazz fusion, funk, just kind of a mix of a lot of jazz, blues, funk, and just really good stuff. Horns, great vocals, great backing vocals, great musicians playing with them. So I mentioned with Brad Delp in Boston that he was one of two main members, and in this instance with Steely Dan, it's the same thing. Walter Becker, who is now dead, and Donald Fagen, who is still alive and touring as Steely Dan, they were the core members and founders of Steely Dan. Famous past member was Michael McDonald. He's actually in this video today. This is live from St. Louis in 2006. I happened to go to this particular concert, and it was excellent. I will put the link down below for this whole concert. Watch it. You're just not going to see much better when it comes to live. They're not necessarily energetic. They're just a really good band on stage. Great musicians that they always tour with. They sound perfect. They sound just like they do on their recordings, except for I call them a jam band when they're live, because they'll play stuff and then change it up a little bit. Like the lead guitarist will go off in their own little solo that's different from what you heard in the recording. But the rhythm, the bass, the horns, for the most part, stay the same. And then they all get a chance to play around with it. In this, you'll see a little bit of a guitar solo that's different. You'll see a drummer going off on it. So you get a good idea of what you get with this particular band. This was the second time that I saw them live. The first time I ever saw them live, I knew better, but I kind of questioned if they weren't playing a CD. That's how good they sound live. It's really crazy. Like I said, Walter Becker is the guitarist and several other instruments. Donald Fagen's a keyboardist and several other instruments. But those are your core members. Michael McDonald's playing keyboard on this, and he sings also. So little quick insight into Steely Dan. I'm big into music trivia, and my mom knew this, and so she said, I bet you I can stump you. And I was like, oh, she's never going to get me on anything. And she got me on this one. She asked me where Steely Dan got their name from. And she did tell me, so she knew the answer to this. But just in case you didn't know, both Walter Becker and Donald Fagen were avid readers of what they called beat literature. You might call them blue literature. You might call them romance novels, whatever you want to say. They were big fans of it, I guess, in the 1950s. So they decided to name the band Steely Dan after a woman's toy in William Burroughs' Naked Lunch. Yes, toy. We'll just say toy in that book. And that's where they got the name from. And my mom scarred me for life by knowing that. And to this day, she tells people, I didn't tell him that, I didn't tell him that. And I have to tell her, I'm like, Mom, I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true, because there would be nothing good about that. There's nothing positive about telling people that your mom told you this, but she did. And like I said, scarred for life. Maybe that's why I am the way I am. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go, where, to that reaction screen. We're going to put the headphones on. As you can see by the time bar down at the bottom, it is a 2 hour and 1 minute concert. So this is a big concert, but I will put this link down below. But this is Do It Again. This is one of my favorite songs. I think it's from 1973. Donald Fagen is going to give a little background behind how they found Michael McDonald, and I'll let him talk for a second about that, and then we'll get into this review. This is going to be more about the band, not just vocals. We'll talk about Michael McDonald's vocals. We'll talk about Donald Fagen's vocals. Walter Becker doesn't do a whole ton in this, but he's a part of the band, and he's kind of, I think, one of the reasons with Donald Fagen that they get so tight and they sound so good together. Tight meaning that there's just no gaps in the music. It all sits and fits together really well. So when I say tight, that's what I mean. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this right now in 3, 2, 1, review.
You know, back in, well, Mike, congratulations on that Bunsen Prize there. Yeah.
See, there's Michael McDonald.
Back in the mid, well, around 1973, we were looking for a singer who could sing high parts, you know, background parts, and our drummer at the time said, hey, I just made a demo down the street with this guy. You should audition him. So the next day, Mike came over. He could play keyboards, too, and we took him on the road. And the problem was he was a little too good, and I thought maybe I was in danger of losing my position.
A founder in danger of losing his position.
We had to kick him upstairs to the Doobie Brothers.
Yeah, so he talks about kicking Michael McDonald to the Doobie Brothers.
For a year, it was great. We went on the road, and we used to have him sing some leads. He was so good, like this one right here. This is the way we did it in 1974.
In 74, okay, so. Again, these guys are musicians and singers who have been doing this for 30 some odd years, if not more. And the way they sound, I mean, listen to this. I mean, just tight. It sounds like a recording, but this is all live. And there's Michael McDonald, who's a great keyboardist. I think he doesn't get nearly enough credit for it. A big hit of his solo career was I Keep Forgetting, which is used in California Love, Tupac's California Love. His Keep Forgetting and Woman to Woman by Joe Cocker and West Coast Pop Lock. Those are the three that are used in California Love by Tupac, so check that out sometime. It's kind of interesting. Maybe I'll do a video of how they mixed that together. Yeah, but Michael McDonald was not the original vocalist, but he sounds really good here. And he's got a very strong vocal ability, very powerful vocals, and he has a good raspy sound to it. It's gritty almost, but it's smooth at the same time. He's got a real good jazz and blues background. Doobie Brothers is classic rock, but when he went to do his solo stuff, I think he was more jazz. But he's a very good vocalist, and you can tell he's feeling it because he always likes to play with his eyes closed and sing, and it's coming from inside. There's Walter Becker right there on guitar. Again, these are, Walter Becker died way before his time, and it sucks because this band was really, really good with the two of them, Walter Becker and Donald Fagen. But we lose these people, so now we got Donald Fagen, and while they may sound the same, you still lose a bit of that because it's not the original person who helped write these songs. And I mean, the horns right here, just perfect. The backing vocals, listen to this, it's perfect. And you see this backing vocalist, she's playing an instrument too. I mean, they all play. I mean, when they go back and show the whole group, there's tons of musicians up here right now, and they're all playing this, and it sounds like this with all of them playing at the same time. So that's not Walter Becker playing this lead part. He's just playing a little bit of a rhythm to this lead guitarist right here. But you can tell this is not the original. If you've heard this song, this is not the original solo. So this is why I say jam band, giving the guitarist a little bit of time to sit there and kind of play his own thing. He's playing with the music and in the same notes and keys, but he's just kind of playing his own thing. But it fits. That's why they call him a jam band. When they're up there, they let the musicians kind of express themselves. The rhythm section, horns, and bass are staying the same though to keep that good tempo. This is Donald Fagen singing and playing the keyboards too. But he has a very distinct sound, and that's how you know when you're listening to Steely Dan, because he's the lead singer. And he still sounds really good for 30 years after the fact. Still, and I can't really define what I would put his vocal style in, but he's unique, and it still works really well with this band. I think I couldn't imagine anybody else doing vocals for Steely Dan, just because I got so accustomed to hearing that. Even when Michael McDonald sings with them, it just doesn't sound necessarily right. It sounds really good. It just doesn't sound right because you know it's Steely Dan. So when Fagen comes in there, it sounds really good. And here you go. And again, jam band. Let's give the drummer a bit to, go at it. And the horns are still there, and it still sounds like it. One big thing I mentioned with these live bands like Foreigner and Boston and Steely Dan is their tempo stays right with the original tempo. They don't go too fast like a lot of live bands do, because they get this adrenaline and they're like really ready to go, and they speed it up and they go a little too fast. These are right on time. If there's any difference in time, it's very, very, very minimal and very hard to detect. They do such a great job with keeping that tempo right where it belongs. And I mean, just this Steely Dan was just excellent on stage. And I love their recordings, and all of their albums are just wonderful. They're really, really good in the recording studio. And like I said, they use a lot of studio musicians. But more so to the point, when you can sound like that live, it's just crazy. And bands like that just don't exist very much these days. You go and, it's gritty sounding. I mean, I love them, but one of the bands I can always point to as their live shows are nowhere near what you would want them to be is Kiss. They've gotten a lot better over the years, but when they first started in the 70s, it just sounded like crap, but it just sounded like crap. They didn't know what they were doing. The production wasn't right. They were just a blood and guts and, a show. They weren't even really doing much live and sounding all that great. Over the years, they've gotten a lot better. But bands like Steely Dan, you go there, you can have a beer, you can have a great cocktail, a margarita, whatever you're into, herbal remedy. I mean, it's perfect for that type of stuff. You don't sit back in a seat in an amphitheater, cool breeze, autumn air, early spring, whatever, nice night out, and you could sit down. Even if it was like in the park, you could lay down on a blanket and just chill out. And for 2 hours, you're just going to be in one of the best places you've ever been, because the way they sound, it's laid back, it's relaxed, but everybody's having a good time. Heck, if there was ever a fight at a Steely Dan concert, I wouldn't know how the hell that would happen, because you're just too laid back. It's too cool. It's too, it's just, it's everything you wanted it to be. It's different than a Foreigner concert. It's different than a Boston concert. They're not rock. They are very jazz, blues, fusion. That's basically what I put them as. Kind of like Spyro Gyro. I might do one on them here before too long. Climax, blues band, things like that. These bands were just excellent, and they were great live, and you're losing that talent out there because, it's really something if you go to see a band and they sound just like they do on a recording. That means they put a lot of time and effort on working. These guys practice constantly together. And a studio musician, that's why I say I'm pretty sure most of these guys are studio musicians, is they come in and they sit down like, I know the part, boom, and they're right in there with you. That's their job. They're not about making the money and all that. They're there because they're good, excellent players. The other thing about this is that you got three really big-time musicians on stage. Granted, Walter Becker and Donald Fagen are not necessarily top of your list names that you would throw out, but those two are on stage, and then you got Michael McDonald, Doobie Brothers, and his own solo career. This isn't about ego for these guys. This is about good music and playing good music together. They're having a good time. So, when people like me want something like a Van Halen reunion tour with Hagar, Roth, and even Sharon. You know, I'm like, I know they hate each other, but shove them in a room by themselves and say, listen, you don't have to see each other until you come out on stage, but just do it. Fans want to see this. Put your ego out of it. And these guys do that. And they did that night in and night out because it was about the music, the good music. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, this wasn't necessarily a review of any one person. This is more the band Steely Dan, which is primarily Walter Becker and Donald Fagen. So you heard that. And they're the ones that come up with this ingenious sound that you hear. And they're also the ones that work tirelessly to make sure the rest of these guys sound as good as they do together. I've read it that they're very particular about this stuff. So with that said, I got a few things that I'd like you to do for me. One, check out those 2 intros. Let me know which one you want. I'm going to put Mad Squirrel's information down in this video in the description again. She's the one that did the Real Review 3K Presents. Please give her a look up on YouTube and on Twitter. Great person, helps this channel, helps a lot of other channels, helps chaoscentral.com. She is the editor of all our great articles over there. She goes back, makes sure the citations are correct, makes sure the punctuation, the grammar, all of that's correct. And, you know, we couldn't do a lot of the stuff that we do here at the Real Review 3000, at Sean Stackhouse Reacts, at chaoscentral.com without her. So I want to give mad props to her. Mad Squirrel, thank you so very much. Also, subscribe. Please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, we're almost to 300 subs. Please help us get there. Also, we're trying to get up to 1,000 subs. Hashtag PandaSuitMary. Ask me about that. But more importantly, check out our video, Subscribers for a Cause. We're trying to raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital up until the time we get to 1,000 subscribers. All that money is on GoFundMe. It goes straight to the charity, not to me, not to the channel, not to anybody else, straight to the charity. So help us out. Try to raise money for a very good cause. Also, hit that bell so you know when we're coming out with new stuff. Hit the like button. Leave a comment if you feel so obliged to do so. And give me some suggestions of what you'd like to see. Music reviews, movie reviews. Just let me know. I'm pretty open. I love this music stuff. So, you know, if you got something you want to hear and you want me to review it, please let me know. With that said, I'm Chris Knight. This is the Real Review 3000, and I'm officially out of here.
Hey guys, thanks for checking us out. Be sure to subscribe to both channels, and make sure to check out our friends in the Fandom Minutes. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and BitChute, and you can also send us an email at sean@seanstackhousereacts.com and chrisknight@therealreview3000.com. Be sure to swing by our Teespring store to pick up some awesome merchandise.